So welcome to the latest edition of Tutor Talk. Today we are going to be talking about some of the materials that you might find helpful when you are revising for the actuarial exams. So just a quick reminder of who I am. My name is Sarah. I am one of the ActEd tutors. I teach mostly the later subjects, and I've been at ActEd now for just over 11 years. And I am joined today by my colleague, Anna. So Anna is on the standard materials team. So Anna has really good knowledge of all the materials across the subjects. But Anna, do you want to introduce yourself in a bit more detail to everyone?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Anna. I teach a variety of subjects. I teach CB2, economics, I teach CP1 and SP1, so I've got a bit of a range. And as Sarah says, I do work with some of the standard materials stuff. So I know a bit about sort of products overall.
Fantastic. And what materials are we going to be discussing today? Because obviously a whole range of stuff that we produce. Where are we going to be focusing?
Okay, so I get the impression that students don't necessarily have too much trouble getting started. You receive your course notes, you maybe try some assignments, hopefully you sign up for a tutorial, and we've got our online classroom that you can dip in and out of. But maybe after that, you start wondering sort of what you could be using when it comes to the revision stage. So we're going to be looking at the sorts of products you might choose at that point.
Fantastic. So still, even though we're only sort of looking at that area, there's still quite a range of products that are available. So I think it'd be really useful to kind of go through them one at a time and talk about when they might be useful and what they help with. So should we do flashcards first of all? Do you want to tell us a bit about how they work? Is that right?
Yes. So flashcards are as they sound. I assume most people have had a go at making their own flashcards in the past, or at least seen other people's flashcards. So our flashcards are fairly standard flashcards, really. I've just got an example set here. So we have flashcards. They have a question on the front, and then they have the answer on the back. And there's some boxes, and you can tick off when you know the right answers. I think flashcards are quite useful for lots of things. They're quite handy. They're also in the kind of the online era. They're quite useful to have in your sort of resources that you have handy during the exam.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So did you use flashcards, Sarah?
I did, yeah. I think I used every revision product going, but yeah, I did use flashcards. I found them really helpful, particularly for those later subjects where there's a lot of lists of stuff that actually you just need to be really familiar with for the exams. So yeah, I found them particularly helpful there. It's worth saying as well that not all of these products are available for every subject. Obviously, things like flashcards work better for some subjects than others, and some of the other things we're talking about do as well. So they're not available for everything. But yeah, I definitely use the flashcards. Flashcards are useful for getting through kind of core reading, I think. Another product that we offer that's useful for the core reading kind of coverage is Sound Revise as well, which has had a bit of a relaunch and a bit of a resurgence. Tell us a bit about how that works, Anna.
Okay, so both the flashcards and the sound revision are supposed to cover the same kind of thing. So they're supposed to cover the key bits from the core reading. The reason that we have the two different variants is really to help learners. So some people like the visual aspect, like having something that you can hold, can flick through, can take things out of, whereas other people like taking things in through their ears. So we've got the two different variants. They cover the same material, maybe in a slightly different way. So yeah, we have both of those there. I've often wondered as well whether it would be worth just putting Sound Revise on each night as you're going to sleep. Ooh, and just seeing how much information seeps in. So I think where these products, they're not particularly high price products, I kind of think, yeah, maybe £30 is worth the risk just to see if it seeps in.
Yeah, if you could study while you're sleeping, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? I didn't listen to them while I was sleeping. I drew the line at that. But I did used to listen to Sound Revise in times when I couldn't use another product. So for example, I used to walk to work. It was perfect because I can't sit and, you can't walk along reading something very easily. I also sometimes used to listen to them in the car when I was driving. I remember one Easter I drove up to my parents and made my sister listen to the CP1 Sound Revise, and I don't think she's ever going to forgive me for that. But it's just another option, isn't it, for when you may not be able to fit in another subject, another product. It's worth saying again, just reiterating, not available in every subject. Particularly Sound Revise doesn't work particularly well with formulae and things like that. So it's aimed at the more wordy subjects.
Yeah, we have flashcards for a lot of subjects, but Sound Revise it's also slightly more appropriate for some.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the products as well where we're slowly kind of reintroducing it with the 2019 changes. There was a lot of stuff happened after that, and so it is, I think we'll see more subjects launching Sound Revise as well. So if it's not there yet, it may well be coming. So I'll just hold on. In terms of going through core reading, I think the revision notes do sometimes go through the core reading as well, don't they? What else do the revision notes do?
Yeah, so for some subjects, they do include all the core reading, usually with some questions that help you to generate the core reading yourself. So that's part of what they sometimes have. They've also got other little useful features. So they might have things like mind maps, just sort of general overviews and that sort of thing. But I think one of the most useful things that the revision notes have in them is lots and lots and lots of past exam questions. So they have 10 years worth of past exam questions. And I've got just a sample one here. Yeah. But they come in these booklets. So for a subject, you might have, say, 6 booklets. So we've divided the course into groups of chapters that are kind of similar. So, for example, you might have a booklet that covers modelling and assumptions and data. So you might decide that you want to really tackle those topics. So you sit down and you tackle all of the questions in that revision booklet. And by the end of it, you are going to be hot on questions that cover modelling, assumptions and data. So it's one of the kind of the real plus points of those for me.
Yeah, that's exactly how I use them as a student as well, is for blitzing those topics. I also use the core reading where it was available for going back through the core reading in a couple of weeks before the exam, just to make sure there's nothing they can throw at you that you haven't seen. But yeah, I think using it to blitz topic by topic is so valuable as well. That's really useful. In terms of, so revision booklets have got lots and lots of exam questions in. We've also got ASET, which is another revision product for exam questions. How do they differ?
Okay, so the revision notes have got 10 years worth. ASET has got 4 years worth. So usually that's 8 papers. It also contains a lot more detail. So the revision notes, the intention is that you blitz through lots and lots of questions. So the answers are very concise, kind of note format, and possibly less detail than you'd actually need when you're actually sitting the exam. Whereas the ASET is on the other side. It gives you lots of explanation. It gives you lots of extra points. Right. It gives you alternative approaches. It gives you hints and tips. So if you have a look at a question, one of those questions you look at and you just think, I have no idea what this one's about. Yep. You can turn to the hints page and it kind of gives you a little bit of a start. We have comments on the question. So again, where you're kind of thinking, oh, I'm not quite sure what this bit of the question's asking me to do, it kind of goes through and says, well, this word might imply this part of the course. This word might imply we've got to look at both sides. And this word might imply I use these headings. So it's kind of trying to coach you through a thought process that might lead to a good answer.
Okay. The other thing, really useful thing I think we do in ASET as well is presenting a solution that would score like 100%. If you look in a marking schedule, you'll see generally the solution has 200% of the marks available, sometimes even more. And it's really hard to know, okay, actually, what did I need to do to score 100%? So we do present a 100% solution and also show you all of the other things that could also have scored. And we show the mark allocations as well in the more recent ones, don't we? So you can use it to mark your attempt and see what you needed to say for the marks on offer, which again, I think is really valuable in preparing you for the exam.
Yeah, because we often get questions in tutorials, don't we? With this score and with this 1 half or 2 halves, and the ASET it's a really good indication of what exactly you would need to do to get each half mark.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also a historical ASET, isn't there, as well? So how is that differing when my students want to use that?
Okay, so all the products we've talked about so far are updated every single year. So when the core reading changes, we update all of our flashcards and sound revise, our revision notes answers and our ASET answers. And when I talk about ASET there, I'm talking about ASET 2019 to 2022. So it's covering the last 4 years worth of exams at the time of recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when we started the curriculum change back in 2019, we were at a point where we didn't have lots of past exam questions from that particular subject, and subjects had sort of been moved around and chopped and changed. So we made the decision that we'd start selling an ASET with, you know, the new subjects in there, but we would keep selling some historic assets. And we updated them, and we kept updating them until the end of the 2022 exam session. So they are up to date as at that point. But now we have this full ASET with the more recent exams. We're kind of freezing that product.
Okay.
So it's still very, very useful, but it is not going to be updated going forward. So if you just want more exam practice with pretty good relevant answers, then that's an extra source for you.
Okay, another source of questions. Brilliant, lovely. Thank you very much. It's just worth saying as well, all of these products are available as ebooks, obviously not sound revised, that's available as sort of downloadable files. Yeah, but everything's available as ebooks. And as Anna mentioned, you know, things like flashcards, you sort of flick on your phone when you're, you know, reading through them, you know, work really well. But yeah, everything's available paper and ebooks as well. Fantastic. We will put a link to our website in the information below the video, and also a link to the e-store where you can buy all of these products because they're all available through our website. So thank you so much, Anna. That's been so useful going through all the different products. Really useful guide. Hopefully people found it useful. If you do have any feedback on any of our videos or anything you'd particularly like us to discuss, then please drop us a line. I'll pop the email address below the video, but acted@bpp.com, and just pop Tutor Talk as the subject, and it will find the right people. But yeah, thank you ever so much for watching.